Okay, looks like the stream is running and we're good to go. Hello, everybody, and welcome back to the Xbox Roundtable Podcast. Back for yet another episode of Xbox Talk and other gaming news. This is show number 227. Naturally, I'm Invader, the host for the evening, and I'm looking forward to our chat tonight. I mean, when don't I, really? But we've got to cover some PlayStation news with some interesting improvements going into the classic titles. Also, there are reports of EA being interested in a merger or being bought outright. That's certainly a hot topic over the last few days. And we've got some possible Gears of War collection leaks. I mean, could be possible. I mean, why not, right? And possibly some other stuff to cover. But before we get into all those things, let me introduce everybody on the show tonight. And I'll kick things off with Crusader. Buddy, how you doing?
I'm good. Anyone who follows me on Twitter knows I just finished my yearly playthrough of Mass Effect. Love the franchise. Got all of the platinums on PlayStation. Next year will be on Steam so that I can get all of the achievements there because my goal is to get all of the to 100% the franchise on all platforms before the next one comes out. Which I don't expect it out next year, but next year will just be the last one I need. And next week I'm excited for Destiny. Some new season in Destiny 2 that Bungie will literally tell us nothing about. So I'm excited for Tuesday morning when we find out why it's secret.
All right, yeah, got some vagueness to look forward to. I see. No, I mean honestly, Crusader. Hopefully, we get some decent news. Mondays, they seem to be packed with some news. You never know, and we'll see if
Yep.
Bungie drops some
Oh,
stuff.
no, they straight up told us it's coming at reset on the day the season drops. They told us not to expect anything until Tuesday.
Well, all
So,
right, all right. Keep your your hopes
yep.
limited. Then I guess that's good, a good way of putting it. But all right, good to know. Moving on here, General MLD buddy. Again, I'm happy to see that your internet is back up and running. How you been?
Oh yeah, pretty good. Yeah, had a bit of a storm the other day, but hey, all better now. Otherwise, yeah, just I finally bit the bullet. I started Elden Ring, my first playthrough of my first Souls game. Everyone's talking about it. They say it's most accessible in the genre, so okay, why not? I'll give it a try. And so far, so good. I mean, I'm getting my ass kicked a lot, but I'm making progress. Sure as every time I play. So I am loving it so far. But yeah, also I think I'm gonna take a break later on because I think Sniper Elite 5 is coming out day one on Game Pass. I think I'll just give that a play as well. But yeah, pretty busy game in there lately. So looking forward to the show, guys.
No, well said. Yeah, I got affected by that same storm as I was telling everybody in the group not too long ago. Thankfully, my internet and power really was only out for a few hours, but yeah, some people were really affected. So glad to see you make it, pal. Glad to see you make it. Moving on down the list here. Tim probably won't be making it tonight. Shockley should be. I mean, I'm assuming he'll be sliding in a little bit, as far as I know. And rounding out the list here, Centurion buddy. Hey, how you been? How's things been at your been the past week or so?
Man, it's been good. Found time to finally complete Strange Brigade with my brother. That was actually a really awesome game. We're starting to do the DLC now. We just did the main campaign. That game is really a hidden gem, man. I mean, there's moments where you're just like, this game is actually really beautiful for what it is. Because I mean, the backdrops and the scenery are really cool. Really enjoyed the game mechanic with all the different traps and stuff you can do to help kind of funnel enemies into different scenarios to kind of help you basically get to the end of the mission. It was just a very fun, quirky game that I had a really good time playing.
All right, all right. Yeah,
No, I know there's an elephant in the room, but I'll let you get to that.
No. I mean, no. I totally get that. Actually, why don't we bring it up now? Because I mean, I guess it has been a little. Why don't we say eventful for? I mean, technically, for a couple of us, but like, sort of for. I guess I want to put the focus on. I guess your commentary from the last show. I don't know if you would like to explain. Maybe some people don't know what's going on, but I don't know. It was an interesting interaction, wasn't it, Centurion?
Yes, interesting. I even made a joke to my brother when I was like, well, I guess this is that moment where I walk down to the ring and I flipped my long oily hair and look into the camera and scream, "Acknowledge me." And David Jaffe did not expect that. Regardless of how people want to feel about the message that was put towards me for saying that he's trying to bank on his career during the PS1 and PS2 era, I put out my little synapse on Twitter, so that way for those who think that I'm hiding in some secret little magical world where my opinion apparently goes unnoticed, just put it out there. It's my own opinion. It's mine only. I don't reflect anyone else's. I don't need to have a giant following to basically enforce that opinion because it's just mine. And David Jaffe, like, I'm not trying to be mean, but cool. He made Twisted Metal, a really cool kart racer back in 1996. We had God of War 2005, but he also got help writing that from an award-winning game writer. I think her name was like Marissa Krosick. And she actually helped write pretty much all of the God of Wars. So most of God of War was this woman's backbone. And that's where I think it's really funny how everybody like flipped out when they kind of showed God of War Ragnarok and there was a heavy female influence in that game and everybody lost their damn minds. Well, also here's some bad news for you. It's going to break your heart. The game series has actually been wrote primarily by a very, very talented female individual. And I think it's funny we say break your heart because there's this really cool tweet put out with me apparently performing on Phil Spencer, and they used Shawn Michaels, the Heartbreak Kid, doing that really fun autonomous motion back in the day when he was a very controversial wrestling character. But what's also really funny about using that character is I actually am going to be the Heartbreak Kid for a lot of you because I don't care about plastic platforms. I don't worship them. I also don't worship false idols. I actually like to feel that I like to assert myself with better role models. Like I've actually sat down and had dinner with the running back. I believe he was with the Green Bay Packers, Robert Brooks. He actually is a good friend of the owner of the business that I work for. And this man goes out and I've handed out food to the homeless. I've gone out and seen he's building a teen youth center. Those are the kind of role models I try to hold on to. I don't want to listen to a man that sits in the corner yelling at a microphone, angry at the world, in my opinion. I'm not trying to be mean, but
All right.
It is what it is. No, I'm not trying to rant. It is what it is.
Oh no, you're not ranting, and I think from some of the chiming in that was going on, some of the commentary on social media, it was just kind of I guess you did have to respond in some way, and I'll be honest, I'm a fan of Jaffe's in some ways. Like, I know it was a while ago, but I love my Twisted Metal and God of War, especially Twisted Metal. I don't know, I love that kind of stuff. But hey, don't get me wrong, man. I understand where you're coming from, no doubt, honestly. But hey, David seemed to want to have a dialogue with us, to be fair. And hey, David, my DMs are open if you want to come on the show.
Right. And that's where I'm just going to say for my final thing that I think it's really funny that I'm going to have some fun with this. I happen to actually enjoy creating like a Mad TV situation on my channel with the character Fanboy. And at this point, I'm just going to have some really good fun.
All right. And that's fair, honestly. And yeah, no, David, if you're listening, you are more than welcome to come on the show. Just hit me up in the DM, and we'd love to talk about all things gaming and whatever you'd like to, honestly. But yeah, you know what, guys? I mean, again, we're here for the fun of it, and everybody's welcome to come in and listen to us. We appreciate everybody just dropping by, saying hi, and whatnot. We appreciate the viewership. Anyways, let's go into our first topic tonight. And guys, by the way, don't forget to share this out and sub to the channel if you haven't already. Again, we really appreciate you here. But the first topic tonight, gentlemen, let's see. Where should we start off? You know what? Why don't we talk about some PlayStation news? And PlayStation, they've unveiled the initial list of games that will be hitting the revamped PlayStation Plus. Titles such as Ape Escape, Siphon Filter, Dark Cloud, and more. Actually, it's a nice list, to be honest. With some classics getting trophy support, of all things. Very interesting. Along with some other news, of course. But Crusader Pal, I'll lead off with you on this one. What do you think of the latest update, that we're getting with PlayStation Plus? Got any thoughts on it?
I'm gonna do a brief summary of what I think, and then I'll go into it in a little bit more detail. For a casual gamer who hasn't played very many games, or are brand new to PlayStation, it's an excellent value proposition. There's quite a bit of much better at that level of expectations than I thought it was going to be. But if you're an enfranchised gamer, like basically all of us, and if you're someone, probably our audience, I don't think it's the greatest deal. Especially, I was hoping for more in the backwards compatibility department. Now, maybe there will be some better stuff announced, but I was expecting to hear a bunch more of the PlayStation like classic exclusives that currently aren't on the PS Now listing. Especially like the Ratchet and Clank games. I think they did include Resistance 3, but I believe 1 and 2 are still missing. Things like that. Now, maybe they're in the full list, but I don't know why you wouldn't just announce more here if there was more exciting things to come. So I think that getting like all the Ubisoft classics, that's great. That's going to be on there, especially starting with Valhalla and then getting up to 50 games later from Ubisoft. That's really great at a casual level, because those are very casual friendly, casual heavy games. The Far Cry's, the Assassin's Creed's, and a lot of the games they showed looked good. I am also still a little frustrated that they haven't outlined time frames for their first party games. This isn't to say that I'm necessarily expecting day and date games. I'm not, not at that price, and not at the price point they're selling the premium for. But it was a little frustrating to hear that there's not even like an EA Play style promise where games come into the service guaranteed at 12 months. They can come in before, but guaranteed at 12 months they're going to come in. Like we didn't get anything like that, any kind of time frame for things. And like there are some games that came out more recently that are on there, like the director's cuts for Ghost of Tsushima, and the director cut for what was Kojima's game called? The Norman Reedus game. Death Stranding.
Death Stranding, yeah.
Both of those director's cuts are going to be on there, but The Last of Us 2 was like not listed, which was weird because they did list The Last of Us Remastered. So you'd think if they were listing one, they would list both. And The Last of Us 2 came out first, and we even saw that hit PS Now and then leave PS Now. So like, I don't have a ton of necessarily confidence in the release schedule of stuff onto it, because they've offered no concrete like spine to it, if you will. Like there's no consistent backing promise. There's just that it will evolve in the future. And this is one of the things that makes Game Pass, when Microsoft is firing on all cylinders, a great program, because you know when that value is going to come. If they're actually releasing games, you'll get them as they come, and it's great. Even EA Play, in my opinion, has a better value proposition for what it costs, because you know when the games from EA are going to be coming. You know that within a year, all of the titles will be on it, So, to me, they need to be clearer on how things are going to come, when things are going to come. Not just like, oh, we're going to be adding things each month. I want to know essentially like a good kind of schedule that I can follow as to when things will come. And that's still missing. So for me, it's not something that I'm going to be subscribing to right away, unless they come out and reveal that basically all of the legacy titles that they publish are going to be coming to the service. Now, one thing I will compliment them is the trophy support in the old games. That's excellent.
Yes.
That is something I really wish Xbox would do. That we could get legacy legacy achievement support for the original Xbox games. That would be
Yeah.
I would love it. I would go back and play so many of them, like the Knights of the Old Republic games, the original Star Wars Battlefronts, Star Wars Republic Commando.
Well, it does seem like a
Otaki.
nice incentive, right, to play the older games. I mean, don't get me wrong,
Yeah.
you're going to play the older games regardless if you really like the classics, but at the same time, I mean, for newer people to come in and, you know, they really like achievements and earning achievements, then, you know, you would think that, oh, yeah, that would be a nice way to entice people to get to play them, right?
Yep. And I am also very happy that they are, the games that are coming, except for the PS3 games, are also going to be for sale. I was not expecting that. And if you bought those games on the PS3, from what I understand, your license even carries over. The PS1 and PSP games that you could cross buy on the PS3, your license should carry over. So like that's actually really cool. It's something we should expect from them, honestly, to honor those past purchases. It's not something I truly was expecting them to do. So to see it it's really nice, you know. I do wish they had shown more PSP games though, because there's a lot of good PSP titles, and I believe they only announced one, because PSP is brand new to
really?
PS Now. Yeah, PSP stuff was not on PS Now before this cutover. So I would love to see a bunch of like the PSP exclusives come over, because there was some good even third-party exclusives for the PSP. There was 2 Star Wars Battlefront games, and they were both, I played them a lot back in the day. I think it was Battlefront Rogue Squadron or Renegade Squadron and Battlefront Elite Squadron. Both were a ton of fun, and I would love to see them hit beyond the PlayStation 4 and 5.
Okay. All right, that's fair. Yeah, I do think that they offer, like, they do have an interesting catalog of games, classic games, upcoming. And it's going to be interesting to see how people react, especially with the different tiers going on with the revamped PlayStation Network. But, you know, we'll see as time goes on.
What's that middle one? Extra? I think that's going to be the one that does the best.
Yeah,
the
what
one
is it?
that's just for PS4 and PS5 games.
What is it, deluxe or extra or premium? Something like that.
I believe it's extra, or it's essential, extra, and premium. I think are the tiers. I think that the second tier is going to be that sweet spot that they're going to get a lot of subscribers into. I think that they really, really have to work on what premium offers, because the trials there's 6 of them and they're not good. Thank God they're not actually requiring every game to have them. I thought that was going to be awful.
Yeah.
For the industry at large. But there needs to be a higher value, or it needs to just be canned and move people into the extra tier. There's just not enough value at that higher level. They unless they are just holding on to a ton of named games that are coming, but it's not like, you know, it's not something that you want a surprise on day one. You want to know what games are going to be there when the service launches, you know?
Yeah, I mean, aren't they rumored to have an event in early June as well, if I'm not mistaken?
They could. It would be really, I guess you could release a list coinciding with the event and highlight a few more. I don't know. There's just a bunch of games that I like, and hearing that the PS3 is still going to be streaming only is still frustrating. It'll never not frustrate me.
Yeah, I hear you on that one.
There's so many good games on the PS3, so many.
Yes, especially, I mean, the Insomniac games alone. Damn.
There's 3 Resistances and 7 Ratchet and Clank games that are not on PS Now that should be on PS Now.
Well, I mean, I wouldn't be surprised if they did a Resistance collection, right? They've sure been teasing the heck out of it, so.
They have a Resistance collection on the PS3 that just needs ported.
Yeah, that's right.
Yeah.
And don't forget Sunset Overdrive. I wouldn't be surprised. I would not be surprised.
Yeah. I wonder if they'll have Insomniac do it, or if Insomniac will let someone just port it over.
They're probably busy right now, so they'll probably I
Yeah.
would assume somebody else, but then again, who knows? Who knows? They could have a small team doing something. Let's see. Centurion Pal, I mean, what do you think of PlayStation? These little tidbits of PlayStation news. Anything here that you're excited for that looks good to you? Give me your thoughts.
Well, I have two thoughts. Both are on one is on each side of the fence, I could say. We'll start on the high side of the fence. I'm excited for the fact that technically this service is the Ubisoft Classic, along with all the classic games you're gonna get with the PlayStation service. You're gonna have a very, very large catalog of classic games that will be at your disposal for you to be able to experience a good couple generations of gaming, especially if you missed a lot on the Sony side like I did. I missed a lot of stuff on the Sony side, so I might be subscribing to this service just because of just how much is there when it comes to games that I missed, and some of these games I still want to play just because that they're not going to be all these fancy graphics and ray tracing and all this resolution and all this great stuff. It's still games I want to experience because I enjoy these franchises, and I kind of wish I could play some of these games, and I'm kind of excited about this service and what it's going to offer. The Ubisoft side, not really. I always buy all my Ubisoft games. I am a big fan of Far Cry, Assassin's Creed. So all the offerings of what Ubisoft is going to have in there isn't really for me. But definitely for those who have always been on the fence, especially with what Assassin's Creed used to be compared to what it is now, you'll be able to definitely check out how they've revamped Assassin's Creed, especially in Valhalla. I've played a little bit of it. I need to really kind of get that game on my backlog, but I also know that game is going to require a large amount of my life. On to the devil's advocate side, though, the negative is it's an article that I read on Digital Trend. The guy in the article definitely talked about how he wants the subscription service because of the classic catalog, which is why I started reading this. But he also wanted to point out in the article that when you compare the two services together between Game Pass and PlayStation, whatever version you get, it feels more like PlayStation subscription service is aimed towards games you should have played, classic games, gaming past, where Xbox wants, at least like Crusader pointed out, when it's firing on all cylinders, when some of the wrinkles have been ironed out and we get these game delays behind us, whenever that may be. It will be definitely more like gaming future, like this is gaming past, present and future. So they definitely have created a completely separate product from what Xbox is offering. I did call it, though, at least I feel in my head when it comes to Ubisoft, that I knew this service would be perfect for Ubisoft for one reason, and that's that game trials. Ubisoft is right now entering into a new stage of how their company is going to operate and how they view games as a service. They actually have three big, large games as a service to my right off the top of my head. One was a Tom Clancy game. I think they removed the Tom Clancy off of it, but it's to compete with Apex. They also have one that's actually supposed to be like a multiplayer battle royale version of Wildlands, and then there's also supposed to be another one that's based off of the Invader, help me, Division, the Dark Zone. So they're wanting to create a multiplayer that's based after the Dark Zone. This game trial thing is perfect because this means Ubisoft will be able to offer these games and get feedback, but they're not exactly going to have to give these games away. In my opinion, I think they should make these games free to play, especially with what we've seen. But I always knew Ubisoft was going to probably be involved because of this whole game trial thing. And I think it's really interesting now, all of a sudden, they are involved.
All right. No, I liked your points. That's you made some very good points on that. MLD buddy. You've listened to Centurion and Crusader here. List off a few points. Like, what do you think of like these little tidbits of PlayStation news? Good, bad, like meh. Like, what are your thoughts?
Okay, well, I mean, first I'll give credit to where it's due. It's getting to be a better service. Yeah, Sony, the value gap was pretty big for the longest time now, and they're slowly but surely getting their service up to snuff. And some of their first party games. What I'm really just like really intrigued at seeing the online reactions is that the PlayStation fans, they're acting like Sony just discovered fire for the first time and they're taking all the credit for it. It's like the idea of adding a game like Demon Souls 2020 or Assassin's Creed Valhalla from Ubisoft Classics, which I will say also, by the way, good on them for getting that. I mean, because they first announced that coming to Xbox early in the year, and now it's like they got it before we did. So hopefully, maybe we can get it too. We'll see at the June showcase, but it's good that Sony managed to nab what is it, Ubisoft, like we got EA Play.
Mm-hmm.
So good for them. Good for them. That said, it's like the idea of adding 2-year-old games to the service, and they're acting like it's the greatest thing ever. And people are saying, "Oh, PS Plus is now better than Game Pass." Like, we've been doing this for years now. We've been telling you guys this for years. The value gap closed, but not by that much. We still have the day one games, but point aside, we had games like 6 months after launch, like Guardians of the Galaxy. That launched in October. We got that game in what, March? Like, we get games so much more recent than they do, and they're only now getting games that are like, what, 2 years old? Almost that much?
Yeah.
It's... They're acting like it's like they're taking all the credit for it, and it's like Sony did it first, or it sounds old games suddenly matter now that Sony is doing it now. Like, what happened to supporting the devs? People are excited to play Returnal now that's gonna come to PS Plus. I thought you guys doesn't that game need all the sales it can get? That game like sold what, 500,000 units? Shouldn't you guys be supporting the devs, buying it there? But no, now you're going to do what we've been praising for years, which is playing games, first-party games, on the gaming subscription service. Now, all of a sudden, like, subscription services are now the norm. Now it's acceptable. It's just, oh, my God. The double standard narrative goalpost shifting. Again, good on Sony. They're finally doing right. They're finally, like, they're seeing what Xbox is doing, and they're trying to match it slowly but surely. But it's just like, it's just like the narratives and it's just so cringe. But that said, good for them. Good for them. Other than that, the one interesting thing I noticed is that they're adding trophies to PS1 games, I think, like Siphon Filter rings a bell. I would like Xbox to do that. Yes. I think at a certain point now for me, I don't really care too much about my achievements per game, but it is nice to see you get something for the time you put into a game. So I think I would play more original Xbox games if they had some kind of achievement support added to it. So I think Xbox should get on that. I mean, if Sony could do trophies for their backwards compatible games, I think we should be able to do it as well. But in the end, the value gap is still pretty big because, again, we get these backwards compatible games on demand however we want. They still get theirs behind a sub paywall. So they close the gap, but I still think Game Pass is the service to beat. So that's me.
Right. Yeah, and I agree. That would be a great incentive. I've been collecting recently. I've been on a bit of a binge collecting some older OG Xbox games, and I just got Otogi in the mail, the first one. And yeah, I would love to see achievements added to that. Just a nice little thing to add, right? And look who snuck in here. Eric, buddy, you there?
Oh yeah, I'm here.
Hey, bud. We're talking about some PlayStation stuff.
Oh, yeah.
I don't know if how long you've been listening in for. You got any thoughts of the PlayStation Plus new additions, the classics coming in, the trophies to some classic titles? What are your thoughts?
Yeah, I thought that was pretty cool of them because I think I saw a post where it was worded really badly because it didn't really make sense of like, hey, PS Plus is allowing you to if you already purchased some of the PSN classics, now you'll just get them. But I'm like, but then it's not free because then you'd have to have PS Plus. But I think you're just getting them, kind of like how if you had some digital 360 indies and they became backwards compatible, that you just had them once they were. So that's pretty cool of them. I didn't see that coming. But yeah, I definitely thought it was really cool of them to focus on, or at least add some achievement support. That's why I didn't know why they couldn't do it, especially Sony, because Sony, I think even probably anybody can correct me on this, but when they started doing trophies, I can't remember if they did some that were already out, because obviously they weren't doing trophies, I believe, at the very start. But they had their like PS2 games that were digital that you could buy on their store. Those ones didn't have like achievements, which was kind of crappy. So it's kind of sucks that's like Xbox could, like, who made the whole achievement system. It's like you can't just, and it's not even like you have that many OG Xbox titles. Like you can just add the support. Just put an achievement if you like beat whatever the main story is, and you just give us some achievements. Like who cares, or something, 200 or something. But yeah, I mean, otherwise it's cool of them to add definitely more value to what we deem as a competitor to Game Pass. So that's only going to be beneficial to everyone. So I'm hopeful they'll add more PS2 games. That'd be sick, because a lot of people, I've been playing a decent amount of my PS2 right now. I'm playing Shinobi. It's like, man, that game just did not get very much love. I was looking at its reviews and why it was like a 71. It was like, oh, this game's really hard. So it sounded like this was like the first Dark Souls game for many. Not that it was a Dark Souls game, but that's why they got like a 70 on Metacritic, because everybody was like, oh my god, it's insanely hard. I think the last boss or last level is hard, but I'm like up to like halfway through and I'm not getting touched very much. So it's like, it's not that hard, but I love getting off topic there. I would love for them to like start, at least, obviously they can't do anything about PS3, but I mean, they could if they tried, but that'd be cool if they start doing even more support for the ones they can, like PS2, PSNs, PS Classic. But yeah, that's what's great. That's why competition's great. So hopefully Xbox sees them doing achievements. Hey, we've heard you, because that's what Xbox does. They look at what's the number, one most asked thing, on their list. So hopefully that's up there. So we get that announced. That'd be cool. But yeah, it's definitely awesome that they went back and gave people some purchases that they already had. So that's definitely great support. Wouldn't have expected that from Sony. So, but overall, it's pretty good. I probably still have no plan to get like the PS Premium, because I think you have to get that tier to get. Because I think the PS4, PS5 tier is like the mid tier, and then if you want like all of the backwards compatible, you have to get like the premium. But I'm good for now. But maybe adding some of the achievement support to like some other or adding more PS2 titles, because that's what's also got me going back. So I'm like, I want to play on my original hardware, but it's like, okay, I got Rogue Galaxy. I downloaded that on PS2 Classic on PS or PSN. I was like, cool, I can get achievements here versus actually playing it on my modded PS2. So I'm like, that, me just getting achievements for, games I didn't get a chance to play back then, that kind of gets me, staying on that ecosystem. If I can just, keep feeding me other games that I have good achievement for, just get something to show that, okay, cool, I beat the game. Kind of gives you, because there's nothing worse than it's like, hey, looks like you haven't beat any games all year. But it's like, oh, well, I've been playing all these old games I never got a chance to play on my old, PS2. So, there's like PS2 has a crap load of RPGs, that aren't ever going to get ported, or you're never going to see the light of day of.
Which is a shame.
Like Shinobi, like Sega's one of Sega's all-time biggest things back in the day on Sega Genesis. Like, other than the Sega Genesis, Nintendo Online, or Sega Classics, that's about it. Hey, that IP is dead.
Well, according to Supersonic Station in the chat, Shinobi is awesome. I guess great minds think alike, eh, Eric? But yeah, I mean, no, it is good on them, honestly, and I do really like the options coming out of Sony. You know, that tier system that they have, it is interesting. We'll see how successful it is and how it plays out. And yeah, overall, I mean, I do agree that competition is a good thing, and we'll see how Xbox responds to it too. And I mean, let's be honest, the way that the streaming wars are going, you know, even if you love it or hate them, it's going to be interesting in the gaming space, to say the least. So, and content is king, right? And PlayStation has a huge backlog. So, we'll see what happens, guys. We will see what happens on that front. But yeah, why don't we move on to some other things? And guys, don't forget to smash the like button and share this show out. Let everybody know that we are live, because hey, we love to see everybody tuning in and participating in the chat. So definitely let all your friends know. All right, we will go on to some other news, and you know what? We've got to talk about Electronic Arts. And according to a new report, EA is looking to be bought, which is, well, I think it's quite curious. With the publisher having talks with supposedly Disney, Apple, Amazon, and even Comcast, NBC Universal. Centurion Bud, what do you think of this report regarding EA? I mean, I suppose it doesn't surprise me considering the mega purchases over the last 2 years, but I would love to hear your thoughts on this to start us off here.
Man, where do you begin on this subject? Because how can you not blame EA for wanting to do this? But I also have an article anyways, because they were talking about why would you not want to actually sell out right now with gaming hitting at what they considered record-setting revenue levels? On top of that, right now, the way they look at gaming is gaming survived the pandemic. It actually got strengthened by the pandemic because people were at home and they were relying more on gaming to basically get that endorphin release because I'm stuck in my house. And they now see gaming as a safe bet. So companies are throwing money all over the place at gaming. Like you mentioned, they were talking to Comcast. It's going to be really interesting to see where all the cards lie here in the next few years when it comes to who owns what, who's making what, and it's just going to be interesting. It's going to be like a whole different playing field. And I really don't know because I know earlier you were asking, who do you think EA would sell to? And that's where you start getting a lot of the big players that you hear all the time. And when we're talking money, EA is not going to sell cheap. But we're talking players like Google, Tencent. The article even said that they had actually already talked to Amazon and Disney. EA is definitely out there knocking on doors, and I'm very curious to see who's going to end up biting on that hook.
Yeah. But also, like, you know, how much value? Like, do you know how much EA is worth at the moment?
I have no, like, for what EA is worth.
I mean, I know, what is it, last year, didn't they? I mean, last year they bought Codemasters, for example, right, for I think $1 billion. So I don't know. That'd be interesting to see how much EA would be worth. They got to be worth more than, I don't know. You think that they would be worth more than what the Bethesda ZeniMax deal was?
Oh yes, their market cap is almost 37 billion.
Oh, you see. So that's
their stock
Activision
price.
Blizzard.
Yeah, they're like 6.6 billion revenue.
Yeah, they're
They have $13.9 billion in assets. Yeah, they're not gonna, I don't think Activision levels, but I'm pretty sure somebody's gonna have to throw a B at whatever number that EA is gonna sell for.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I mean, they do have some pretty good IP, obviously.
Like, I'm not trying to be mean, but we all know what Activision is selling for right now, and EA shares are at $130.76 a share.
Right. Yeah. I don't know, it's kind of curious too, but then again, some of their games haven't been doing well recently. I mean, look at
no.
Battlefield, right? Battlefield's kind of really taking a hit.
Battlefield, people are really over,
right?
People are over the microtransaction force feeding that EA really fell in love with. And it's also really bit EA in the ass that in the past I've called them the reapers of the gaming industry. They come in, consume a gaming developer for all its resources and talent, and then they basically close the empty shell that's left over.
Well, to be fair, they're not the only ones who do that, but they are one of the more egregious. I'll say
they're the
that.
more and that's what I'm saying. Like, that's where they shot themselves in the foot. They got rid of Visceral Games. We all see now that they're trying to right that ship with the Dead Space remake or remaster. I believe it's a complete remake, right?
Yeah, it's a remake.
I believe so, yeah.
But you also saw how they fumbled the ball with the Star Wars franchise. So they've definitely had some serious missteps.
Yes, that was another thing too. Go ahead.
One thing I would like to say, Centurion, their individual stock price is $130, but they have less shares.
Oh no, I know it's based on a share size, and
yeah,
at $13 billion, that $130 a share, because we valued Activision at almost $70 billion, so they're worth 1/5, something like that.
So I don't know how many shares they have. 36 billion USD is what their market cap is. So they're worth they're worth about, they're on the market right now for half of what Microsoft is buying Activision Blizzard for. So I mean, you're looking at probably a $50 billion acquisition if someone was to acquire them.
Mm-hmm. And keep in mind, because of such the large deals that have been going on the past 2 years. More importantly, obviously, the big elephant in the room being the Microsoft purchase of Activision Blizzard, which is still in the process of being approved at the moment. A lot of different companies, whether they be in the gaming sphere or equity firms, whatever it may be, a lot of people are seeing this as a green light to go in, because I mean, as of right now, video games have outperformed, as you were touching on, Centurion, over other industries over the last couple of years. So investors are targeting these studios and publishers.
And that's what's scary, because I loved how Phil Spencer just recently said that he's worried about not gaming companies, but companies like Amazon and ones like them. I think he even said Google coming into the gaming space, because they're going to be treating it as an investment opportunity rather than trying to expand gaming or do something in gaming. For a lot of these companies, it's just a safe place to put your money without having to worry about the economy tanking.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and as Hydra pointed out in the chat, they also lost the FIFA brand name as well. It's going to be it's going to be, was it EA Sports FC? Something along those lines. So
I would say lost is disingenuous there. They chose not to accept FIFA's terms of wanting to pay $1 billion for just the name.
Okay. All right. No, that's fair.
FIFA wanted $1 billion for a 5-year contract for just the name. And then on top of that, the royalties that were already in place. So good luck to FIFA getting anyone to pay that.
Well, that I would have to agree right there. I feel like what is FIFA gonna do? Go to a game developer that's gonna make a cheaper game that's just gonna be like, can we get EA back?
Yeah.
Yes, Pro Football FIFA 2022. Yes, that's what it's gonna be next. No, I don't know. Yeah, I mean that is oh, that's a lot of money, even for some of those big publishers. That's a big chunk of change. Uh, Eating into their microtransaction money right there. I mean, you look at EA, and they do have a treasure trove of good IP. Uh, I mean, some of the ones that I would point out would be like Dead Space, Need for Speed, obviously Battlefield, but that's been dipping the last few years in quality. Titanfall, I would say, is definitely a huge thing. I mean, you look at Apex Legends, all the Codemaster IP as well that they acquired, what was it, last year? So, I mean, they do hold a lot of really good franchises, Command and Conquer as well. The Sims. I mean, again, I could go on and on and on, but obviously, they have a lot of household names. So I guess the question is, all right, well then, who can step in here? I mean, even from the gaming sphere, I think Centurion, you had mentioned Tencent. What about Embracer? Embracer's been is not shy about spending money, and they've said that they want to buy more studios.
No way. I don't think so. Embracer, they go for the single A, double A studios. Even their recent acquisition, that was on the higher end,
Mm-hmm.
but I don't see them doing like publisher purchases. I mean, I think these guys, EA, they're somewhere between Bethesda and Activision Blizzard. I think maybe their stock price is a little too high. Someone mentioned it was like in the 130s. Whereas Activision Blizzard, they took a hit from all the bad the sexual harassment claims, blah 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 that's been going on. So that made the price extra juicy for a takeover. Whereas EA, they just got the same bad PR that they usually get. Microtransactions this, unfinished games that. That doesn't really hit the stock price the same way as Activision Blizzard had theirs hit. In either way, I don't think it's an interesting time because whoever does swoop in and go for EA, I don't think it'll be like an exclusive basis kind of thing. It'll be
Right.
like it'll be like Call of Duty multiplat with Xbox or Bungie multiplat with Sony. Nothing's really gonna change on our end, like the gamer end. Like all platforms will still be supported. That's how EA makes their money because they put their games everywhere, right? So it's just interesting. Like, are we going to get a new player in? Because Google, they had Stadia, but they abandoned their first party efforts. So are they going to maybe take another crack at it, or at least go for EA in terms of like the revenue generation for that? Is Amazon going to step up their game? They're going to inject all this stuff into Luna, make Luna more of a juggernaut. Yeah,
Mm-hmm.
I mean, we are really in a unprecedented generation right now. Literally anything could happen. Anybody with enough money can just like literally change the landscape as we know it. But at least good news in the end for us gamers. I don't think anything will be taken away or regulated to certain platforms. EA is best, keeping their games multi-platform. It's just a matter of yeah, like a stock price, like in terms of just the enticement. Like it has to be a good deal. So if I had to guess, maybe Amazon, maybe Tencent. So, but yeah, who knows? Who knows?
Mm-hmm. Now, MLD, just to add on there, and I have to ask this because it hasn't been brought up, even if it is ridiculous. But do you think Microsoft would at all be interested in getting in on here, or is the Activision Blizzard deal just still an Achilles heel at the moment?
Ooh, well, I mean, let's see. Realistically, the deal has to close. So let's say by E3 next year, the deal has been done for a bit, and they're planning their next move. If not, yeah, already. I think there'll definitely be like a grace period, a time period in between. Oof, I mean, we already have EA Play merged with Game Pass.
Hmm.
If you want to keep it that way, like and do like all the day one games, oh, I mean, it's in their best interest to keep EA Play bundled with Game Pass. It is a major value proposition. Like yeah, like what is it? Crusader just beat Mass Effect. So did I. I beat Mass Effect Legendary Edition off of EA Play because it was bundled with Game Pass. That is a major selling point. If and I hope they can keep this thing going, and that would be one such way to do it. Otherwise, though, it's delicate because Xbox, they know what we want. End of the day, Nintendo does it, Sony does it, more or less. They're becoming more multi-platform. But at the end of the day, the console brands do differentiate themselves with exclusive content. Now with Xbox, they need to make Call of Duty multi-platform just to make the regulations, just to make the whole process run more smoothly. They don't want any hurdles. They want this done quickly. Best way to do that is make Call of Duty multi-platform. But the other IPs, pretty safe to say, a lot of the fans, they want the other IPs, the less important, arguably, the ones that don't sell as much as Call of Duty. We want them to be exclusive, or at least console exclusive, like Xbox ecosystem exclusive, because it does differentiate the brand. It sets it apart. Again, the big three, they all do this. So if they were to get EA, would that same principle apply? I don't think so. Apart from they would be spending what, like dozens of billions, somewhere in between Bethesda and Activision Blizzard, to ultimately get what, day one Game Pass. I don't think that'll be worth, say, $40 billion, $30 billion, or just to get guaranteed day one Game Pass releases. There would be an expectation to get some IPs exclusive, console, Xbox ecosystem exclusive. So I think EA would be too big for that. I would, again, my gut always tells me their next if they have to do a major purchase, not just a individual studio here and there, but a major publisher, I would personally, I'm Team Sega. I'm Team Sega all the way. Mm-hmm. The one thing the Xbox brand still really needs to fill is Japanese content. And I feel like Sega wouldn't break the bank. Their IPs aren't mega million sellers like they used to be or whatever, but I think they still would fit that niche. The Japanese support, Japanese content. That's my opinion. I feel like they have enough American Western style developers underneath their roof now, especially if Activision Blizzard goes through. They need Japanese content. So I'm going to say no to Xbox on EA for that reason.
All right. That's a fair assessment, and yeah, really good reasoning too. Nice, MLD. Yeah, no problem. Eric Shockley, buddy. I mean, I'd be curious to hear what your thoughts are on this. Obviously, EA is, well, they're big. They're one of the big publishers, and they got some big IP. It's very interesting, again, to hear that they want to sell or merge with somebody. I don't know. Who do you think would be lined up for them?
Yeah, I mean, I feel like Microsoft would probably stay out of it just because you don't want to be. It's hard enough trying to get this Activision deal done versus, hey, also we're going to take probably what would be considered the second biggest publisher, like number one and number two probably off the board. So I think they would just want to get this Activision, because if they get this Activision deal done, that's a lot of studios and some of the, if not the biggest IP period in gaming. So I wouldn't want to like risk going for EA and then lose both because they're like, nah, look what you're trying to do here. Versus, hey, let's just get the Activision deal done. And is there going to be a suitor to actually swoop in before we finish Activision deal? Because once they have that deal done, then they can shoot their shot on EA if it's still up for grabs. So chances are they probably get the Activision deal done before someone makes a move on EA anyway. So it makes sense to me to hold out. But if they did go for it, I think the bigger thing to look at is content, like those basically like what we see coming is like the content wars, where it's like, hey, what subscription has the most stuff? Maybe they still keep their stuff multi-plat on EA, like if they did acquire them, but maybe like, hey, as far as streaming goes, the only streaming, or not streaming, but like subscription service that has EA content is Game Pass, because then they could at least say, hey, well, it's on all platforms, it's just ours is the one that has the exclusive subscription rights to EA or something. That's going to be, and I think the FTC or whoever has brought that up recently, where they're like, hey, if you put Call of Duty on Game Pass, that's going to be and it can't go to like say, PS or PS Plus subscription ever, and it's only going to be in Game Pass as far as the subscription service. That's kind of like an anti-competition thing, but we'll see. But yeah, I mean, I don't think it'd be smart for them to do, at least unless they know something. Well, obviously, they know a lot. I don't, but but yeah, I wouldn't think it would be good because there's already a lot of pressure and a lot of attention on them right now as it is. The Bethesda deal seemed like, oh, okay, didn't seem like that was that big. There didn't seem like there's that much attention. There was in the gaming space of like people like, oh shit, they bought Bethesda, but I didn't hear like Elizabeth Warren or anybody else coming out here and oh my god, we got to stop these mergers and these big companies doing, like you didn't hear it. But with Activision, that's another game changer because it's annual biggest release every year with Call of Duty, and so and what all comes with Activision. So yeah, I wouldn't think it'd be smart, but we'll see. I would think probably like Embracer or somebody, one of those outside companies what might happen is bigger company like them might take like a, maybe not buy the whole thing, but maybe like take a controlled share. So at least they kind of can dictate certain things, maybe.
Right. Yeah, like because when Nintendo owned Rare, they owned what, like 51%, something like that, and then they sold it to Microsoft.
Yeah, because people were like, oh, they bought it from Nintendo. I'm like, I don't think they really bought it, but I think they bought like whatever bought them out as far as like their shares. But
right, yeah. No, I get what you're saying. And I'm seeing a lot of love here in the chat for Sega, for Xbox to go after Sega, and I agree with you. There's a we
should finally get Atlas games on the platform.
That would be the biggest the salt mines that will be created with that news. Come on, guys.
Oh yeah, well they loved your comments there, MLD. So just to continue on, yeah, that would be great. I mean, we've gone on about Sega, and obviously they have in recent months formed closer relationships, I guess you could say, from again, different agreements. But yeah, I mean, actually, yeah, Xbox and Sega, their friendship stretches back years, all the way back to the OG Xbox. So I mean, stranger things have happened in the gaming sphere, so who knows what the near future holds. Crusader, but I don't know if you have anything else to add to this. I mean, I know we went over like various again, like the stock prices and whatnot, and like who could be targeting EA, but like what do you think's the likelihood of just EA selling in general? Do you think that it's true that they want to sell or merge, or like is it possible that they could want to remain independent?
I think it's more likely. I mean, I does everyone want to sell right now? Yeah, kind of, because they're valued more right now than they probably will be in 3 years. Because it's the craze right now to invest in gaming, because gaming is so
and inflation,
so profitable. Yeah, and inflation. Yeah, exactly. So I do think that they want to sell. I think that is definitely a thing. I think it's more likely they'll merge, because the initial rumor was that Comcast was going to spin off NBC as an independent company, and NBC was going to merge with EA to become NBC Electronic Arts, and they were going to be a full transmedia company. They're essentially every type of media that you could want would be under this company.
Right.
And that deal fell apart. I think it is likely that we could see EA merge with another large publisher. In fact, you know how everyone's talking about how Ubisoft is looking to sell to private equity? I wouldn't be shocked to hear, like, if we woke up and the news was that EA and Ubisoft were merging, I wouldn't be shocked.
Like Square Enix, yeah.
There's survival in numbers, and they would have one of the largest developing networks in the world. Ubisoft has a like the largest support network for developing games, and that would be absolutely wild. That would be the best case scenario for me, to be honest with you. Would be EA and Ubisoft merging, as awful of choices that company could make, looking at the choices EA and Ubisoft has made. But I think that it would honestly be better in the long run, because the larger your organization is, the more risk you can take financially, because any one project won't ruin you. So you could have your large bespoke games that are you're going to rake your money in with, and in EA's case that's like the sports games, but then you could actually devote some what I would call brand repair games. These are your things like the Dead Space remake that is confirmed to have no microtransactions.
Right.
Things like the next Mass Effect, or when we hear that Dragon Age is allowed to be a completely single player game and not have any live service stuff, because that was a headline we shouldn't have had to have, but we
Yeah.
did have it in the last 18 months, right? So I honestly think that if you saw like Ubisoft merge with EA, or another, like say like Focus Home merges with them, or another large publisher merge with them, that would be your best case scenario, and you might actually see some positive improvement, because there's less risk in numbers. It's why animals move in herds, right? Same principle is true in economics. That's why like a lot of the companies will merge together in the past. It's safer for a lot of the companies that Microsoft bought to be under Microsoft, because like they don't have the same financial stress when they're part of that big of an organization. If there is a failure, it doesn't kill your company. Does that make sense? Like, I don't think Starfield would have been delayed if Bethesda was independent, because they wouldn't have financially been able to. But under Microsoft, they can. I think that same principle would be true here.
Well,
And I
yeah.
wonder what caused. Did that article say why the EA NBC deal fell through? I didn't read the whole thing.
That's a good question. I'd have to. I don't
Um,
have it in front of me at the moment, but
okay.
uh,
It's very interesting to wonder why that fell through. Because it could be that they got a better offer. It could be that, you know, um, who knows? Apple it would certainly be interested. I was shocked to hear Disney was interested. Um, Disney seemed pretty happy getting out of the video game industry as an actual developing party. They seem pretty happy being a licensure. So I was kind of shocked when I saw in that report that Disney
I
was
think it was
interested.
EA went to Disney like
Okay,
hey,
that
but
would make more sense.
it says part of the report claims a source that FIPA has been persistent in pursuing sale, falling apart, decline because would not comment on rumors and speculation. But it said that EA is primarily interested in a merger arrangement that would allow Wilson to remain as chief executive of the combined company. So I think what it is they're not liking the wording of the deal.
Okay. So yeah, I would assume that as long as like I'm proposing that they will merge with Ubisoft. That is my out there could happen, right? Because I know the Gilmo family, whoever owns and founded Ubisoft, that family, because their whole thing is they don't want to lose control of their company. So I would assume that as long as they get creative control over their own like division of a merged company, let Wilson be in charge of the whole thing overall, and then put someone else in charge of EA. You would have a happy. All parties would be relatively happy. I don't know. We'll see. It's very, very, very interesting story. It's not. I'm not shocked that any and every publisher in this company is looking to sell, break apart. I wouldn't be shocked to hear that they decide to sell off individual pieces of their studios either.
That would be interesting too, but like you look at a studio like Respawn, I mean, they're really well integrated into EA. I mean, look at Vince Zampella going to help
Yep.
DICE. Like DICE is a mess at the moment. So yeah, I mean, I would be curious to see like you were saying, if they would sell off individual pieces, individual studios. That could be something. I mean, I guess I would like to see that instead of them shutting them down, right? So
Yeah.
I mean, look at PopCap, for example. PopCap's actually a very interesting studio. I mean, I gotta admit, I'm a big fan of the Plants vs. Zombies, the Garden Warfare titles. I mean, I wouldn't mind Xbox picking them up for a decent price, but hey, you never know. Or again, another publisher could come in and snag them. But again, that's just speculation on my part. Going more into the article that we're talking about. Yeah, the proposal is said to have fallen apart last month due to disagreements over price and structure. Yeah. I'm just very curious to see how much EA would go for overall. Right now, the way that prices have been for, again, the Activision deal, and that was on the cheap side too. That was a deal for the $80 billion. Bethesda, again, you got Square Enix selling off their Western studios. Yeah, you know what? The more I think about it, the more I could see EA, auctioning off some of their studios. It's possible, but guys, we'll have to wait and see. Just very curious language coming around, and just seems like there's again a fire sale of studios and publishers going on right now. The next 6 months, or actually even the coming weeks, are going to be very, very curious. But you know what? On that note, why don't we go on to our last talking point for tonight? And it looks like we'll be having another big Xbox game collection, if this last bit of news is to be believed. And according to our buddy Nick over at Xbox Era, there's a Gears of War collection going to be announced soon, in the same vein as the Master Chief collection. Nick's been a pretty good source of information and gives some nice tidbits of information here and there. When he hears something, he likes to get people in the know of things, and some of these things are corroborated from other media sources. Now, Eric Shockley, brother, what do you think of the likelihood that it is that we'll be getting a Gears of War collection in the not so distant future?
Oh, yeah, that would be really cool. I think when we talked about this, like, quite a few shows ago, of which one we thought it would be, I was saying I thought it'd be Gears because, well, you have, like, a reason to actually put it in a collection other than just, like, the Mass Effect deal of, like, hey, they're just in a bundle and you just buy them. Whereas this one would actually have, like, hey, yeah, they're in a bundle, you get all of them, but then you also have kind of like what Master Chief was trying to do successfully out the gate of, like, managing all the lobbies where, okay, cool, you can jump in with your friends. Okay, cool, I'm going to jump in with my friend on this co-op on the first Gears, or we're going to jump back. Okay, now we're done with that. You know what? Let's play the multiplayer from, like, the third game or the Horde mode, because the Horde mode's different, or pretty different from 2 to 3. If you want to go back and forth, or which one you like or prefer. So you have a lot to go on there. Plus, there's so many things they could do with just, like, the extras, because you have the multiplayer and the single player. You could throw in, some of that DLC for free that people paid for back in the day that was cut from Gears of War 2 that they sold to you later in a map pack. So just include all that DLC, and you already had the first one, like, remade, kind of like how in the Master Chief Collection you had the anniversary version of Halo, Combat Evolved. Then they gave you anniversary version of Halo 2. So now it'd be cool if they give us the Ultimate Edition for the first Gears like they already did, but then give that same treatment to 2 and 3, and then do that little, flip back and forth. I don't know if they can go back and do that for the first one because they didn't initially. But, have that where you can flip back and forth between the old old filter a new one. So that would be cool if they gave that the same treatment. And yeah, it would be something to hold people over. And that's the other thing is kind of like how you get people talking about, unfortunately, with like Halo Infinite's multiplayer, where some people are going back to Master Chief Collection. People would probably like, hey, awesome! Now there's a more modern way to play. Because I've tried to go back, and you can still find people in the lobbies for like Gears of War 3 multiplayer. I've played that in the past like year or so. And not so much. I'm not sure if you'd find it so much in the Gears of War. You definitely wouldn't find in Gears of War like the OG, and it's hard. You'll be hard pressed to find it in the Ultimate Edition just because it was so early on this gen that they launched that game. Like I think that was like in 20. I feel like that was it was 2015. So that was pretty early on, even before like Halo 5 released, I believe. But yeah, that would be really cool. Of like, hey, bring that toward more of the modern age where we are now in this gen. And people were probably like, oh, I haven't played those games or that multiplayer that we feel like we love. Because that's the thing with the Halo and Gears, both the fan bases and the multiplayer spectrum a lot of times don't know what they want, or like they know what they want. Like there's a whole big one where they like went absolutely no sprint in Halo, or one where it's like like kind of like what they've done with Halo Infinite. Like there's people on both sides. Like it was hilarious when the Gears community manager for the multiplayer recently had left, and then you go into the tweets under it when it was announcing, hey, I'm leaving, and then half the people are like, oh no, now it's going to go to shit, and then all the other people are saying, oh, thank God he's gone. So it's like they don't know a lot of times they don't know what they want. So going back to at least, hey, we'll give you verbatim what you had, kind of like what they did with Master Chief Collection, and just do it right this time. And because obviously it was a logistical nightmare with Master Chief Collection that they didn't see coming, because that was a big undertaking to put all. Yeah, I think it was all four. Yeah, all four. At the time on there.
You had game engines spanning from the original Xbox to 360, right? So
like it was ambitious what they were doing. That's why people were hyped about it, even though it was like old games. Like, holy shit, they're putting all those together and you can just jump back, and people were really hyped about it at that time because it just seemed like unbelievable. And then it kind of was for a while. But I think that could at least, hopefully they have something else other than, if this is a thing, hopefully have something else other than this would release this year. But I mean, that could get people at least. I love the first Gears multiplayer. That's probably my favorite one, because then 2 got some of those like other environmental deaths that you get like from hail or somebody shooting mortars, and it was just a lot more sweaty in the first one to me, in the first Gears multiplayer. So but yeah, that'd be pretty dope if they could kind of do what I was saying with what they've established with the Master Chief Collection, revamp 2 and 3, make everything work where you can just jump in and out like you can with most Master Chief Collection today. I think that would be definitely a good, at least a good shining moment. So, especially for the people that hate the new Gears but love the old one, you'll get some of them. So.
Well, that's another question too. It's like, what do you put into the collection, right? Obviously, the first 3 Gears games. Would you put Judgment in there?
No. Well, I mean, I guess you could, because I would say make it focus on 2 and 3, because at least doing the whole revamp thing, because that's what people love, is that whole trilogy. Because I don't want them to just revamp 2 and then leave the 3rd. No, we're not. This is just what it is. So I think at least focus on that. If you want to add it later, like they did with Region ODST with Master Chief Collection, that seems like a thing to do, but focus on the 3 people love. That's why I didn't think ever really a Fable one would really work. Like, I mean, I guess it could, but people like the first and second one, and a lot of people don't like the 3rd one. So it's like, people don't say that about the Gears, the first 3, or like the first 3 Halos. they're like, oh, those shits are awesome. So I don't know. That let judgment, don't tarnish the product. Get the product out the door with the 3 that people are beloved, and then after that, okay, cool. We'll just add it if you want it. Judgment's in there. Have at it. A month later.
Poor Judgment. Don't cast judgment on Judgment.
Was that a pun?
Yeah, it was on purpose. Yeah, no, you make some good points there, Eric. MLD buddy, I mean, I don't know how big you are of a Gears fan, but I mean, I've always been more Halo, but I do love my Gears and Marcus Phoenix and all that. What do you think of this news of again, we've been hearing about an Xbox game collection in the works. Gears of War, that name is coming up. There seems to be some smoke and fire about it. Do you think we'll be getting a Gears collection? Well, not in the near future. And I don't know. What would you like to see be done to it?
Oh, I definitely think so. I mean, there's too many rumors for this to be ignored. I was a big Gears fan in the beginning. Gears 1, I think, is like my second most played Xbox 360 game of all time. Like I love the multiplayer. Gears 2, Gears 3. I essentially I play the games for the campaigns now. Recently with Gears 5, I didn't play the multiplayer so much. I play for the story. I'm really invested in the characters and the lore and that kind of stuff. So it's good that with a few years since Gears 5, it's good to get this collection out there, get the game back in the spotlight, drum up some consumer interest. Let's prep everybody for the next Gears title, the mainline one. And overall, though, I think it's a good move. Basically, if it's done right, like Halo MCC, again, launching without the bugs, without all that game breaking stuff, assuming they learn their lessons from that and launch this one perfectly, it's gonna be a good hit. Because right now, some of the Gears titles aren't on PC, and this essentially would make those games available to PC Game Pass. But also the multiplayer pools, everyone will essentially be pooled together instead of each game having its own separate multiplayer lobbies, which is also good. It'll keep the multiplayer alive for all the games, so long as people do their playlists a certain way, that kind of stuff. I also hope they take an MCC approach and actually remake like one of the titles, like how Halo 2 was done for MCC. You're looking online. A lot of people seem to be gravitating towards Gears of War 2 or 3 to get that treatment. I mean, yeah, there's fans of each one. No Gears fan is the same. Everyone has their particular favorite of the original trilogy. But otherwise, so yeah, like what? You got the basics: 4K 60 frames or 120 frame options. Yeah, even throwing Gears Judgment. Hey, what the hell, right? It's a Gears game. Play the campaign, enjoy for what it is. Doesn't have to be a mainline, headliner in there too. But my concern is that this was meant to be a complimentary game this holiday. You had Starfield coming out, and this was supposed to be like the icing on the cake. The support game. Now I'm fearing it might be more of the the weight will be on its shoulders this holiday, and that might be a little too much expectations for it. As long as Xbox, if it is happening this year, as long as Xbox, they get the hype, they make it appropriate, let gamers know that it is what it is. But hey, it's a great Gears collection. Let's get excited for it. It's a great collection in its own right. Hey, why not? I'll play it. I'll go through all of them. Give me new achievements. Give me all that juicy of the 4K, 60 frames, 120 frames. Hey, I'll play it all again. Why not? Yeah, all that multiplayer under one roof. I'll sink a lot of time into that. All that time for Starfield, I actually will end up transferring it into Gears. So yeah, it is something. Like people say Xbox has nothing for the whole year. They obviously can't see beyond their own nose. I think the June showcase will illuminate a lot of people, a lot of doubters. They definitely will have games this year. They won't be as big as Starfield, but games like this, hey, it adds up. I think they'll have a lot of smaller games, a lot of collections, the smaller titles, the published games. I think it'll definitely add up to be something more than what people expect. But this, I think I'll have a good time with it. I'm looking forward to it. People should play it.
All right. Well said, my friend. Well said. Hitting up you next, Crusader. I mean, obviously you're very involved with the news leaks and whatnot, and have your ears and eyes peeled for anything that comes up. Uh, like Shockley said months before, we were covering some talk about this. Now, again, according to some ports, it does seem to be a thing that we will be getting a Gears of War collection, and what kind of form, like how much, we don't really know. But there seems to be something here. Do you think that we'll be seeing a reveal of this in the not too distant future?
Yes, I believe it'll be shown at the June showcase, and they'll give a date for it. And I think that there's a big reason for doing this. I think they want to close the 360 servers down for Gears of War, but they can't do that if they don't have a replacement for it. We just saw them recently shut down the 360 servers for the Halo series. I think that happened in February of this year. Maybe
something like that, maybe even January.
And I think that is one of the big driving forces for releasing collections like this, because they don't want to take the games away from people, right? They don't want to take from the few that are still enjoying the multiplayer. They don't want to just take it away. So they want to offer it in a way that kind of consolidates everything, because they would all then be running on one network architecture. Because one of the big reasons they said they wanted to close the Halo ones down was it was so many different games running so many different network authentication protocols, some of them ancient because they were on probably Windows Server 2008 and before, even older servers, doing the hosting and stuff for that for those games. Not that they're all they were using peer-to-peer, but there's still a lot of things that they have to host on it, like playlist stuff, authentication, all kinds of stuff like that. And if you consolidate them all into one package, then you've cut your overhead by a significant amount in terms of their computing. It's not as hard of a job to do by a lot as compared to releasing a holistically new title. You can outsource it to different companies, because I mean, we saw MCC has had a lot of support from other companies, in addition to 343, who's working on it. I believe Saber Interactive helped with some of it.
Correct.
I'm fairly certain that not Creative Assembly, Certain Affinity assisted with the tiny bits of the networking, things like that. So it does not shock me at all. Gears of War is is probably needs it, and yeah, I would think that I would actually suspect that more Gears of War titles will hit it than not. Certainly all the 360 ones. I wouldn't even be shocked to hear Gears 4 hits it. The only problem with Gears 4 is a massive game. It's like, what, 100 gigs or something silly?
Well, again, look at the Master Chief Collection.
Yeah, I mean, that's one of the big reasons they are putting Halo 5 into the MCC, because it would literally double its size of an already big game. But I would certainly think that Gears 1 through 3 would appear into it, and probably Judgment. And again, the only reason I include Judgment there, it's not as well liked. I mean, I just played all the games, and I understand, having just played them all last October for the first time, why people don't like Judgment. It does not feel like the other ones. Conceptually, it was neat, but like it did not play well.
I thought it was all right, but I do understand what people are. Yeah, I do get it.
Story was okay. It was really weird, the whole star system for the missions. There was like it was almost like an arcade shoot 'em up. It felt weird.
Mm-hmm.
Not that it was bad. It was just strange. But I would think you would include that too, because again, I think this is more about we want to close down some more 360 things. How do we do that without removing content? And this is how you do it without removing content. So yeah, that doesn't shock me at all. I do think eventually Fable might even get that response, because Fable does use a little bit of online authentication. Their games are all co-op, and they do use a online authenticator to check if you're playing online co-op.
Well, yeah, the thing with Fable too is that, again, there's been such an absence of it for so long that I do think it makes sense to bring out a Fable collection, of the trilogy games, to reintroduce people to it. So
I agree. I don't know how they do it. Yeah, both of those franchises actually are missing on PC. There's Fable titles that aren't on PC. There's Gears titles that aren't on PC. So that's another reason why you'd want to see it. So yeah, I mean, I'm very excited for it. I'll play through them all again. That's great. I hope that it's not all we're getting this fall. I think MLD is right in saying that.
It's it's hard to say. But I mean, that could be the big game, and maybe like Forza Motorsport, maybe.
Yeah. I think those two together will make a fine fall. I would have hoped for more, but I think it'll be good. I'm interested to see if like how center stage they're gonna make this fall versus like next spring almost.
Right, and keep in mind too, they have like games such as Scorn, and we just
yeah,
learned,
no, they have Scorn, Atomic Hearts in December, right? I think. And I believe the developers over at is it GCS or GSC? I can never remember.
I think it's GSC World or something.
Guys.
But yeah, they're
one of them said that they're back at work. I think he was on Reset Era. I'm not totally sure what platform he said that they were back, but they are back in development of the title. Even implied, like the way he had messaged, it sounded like they had been back in development for some time. So maybe we'll see some more of that. I don't think that's going to hit the December timeline, and there's no way anyone can be upset at that. That's fine. That's actual real world crisis.
Right.
So, but yeah, no. I'd be down to play some more Gears of War. I've never played the multiplayer like ever, so maybe if this does have the same multiplayer hosting like MCC, I will get into it and try it.
We gotta do Horde sometime then.
Okay, I've done Horde. I've never done the actual PvP.
Okay. The PvP.
I have done the Horde mode. I like the Horde
mode. Those 360 days or something else. Like you literally had, when people would literally everybody would fill into a lobby. You'd pick which side you want to be on, and everybody could hear everybody before the match. And then when the match was over, you would just talk mad shit of like what you did to the other team. It was hilarious. It was the most junior high.
Yep, Gears 1. I remember that very well. Oh,
you would talk so much crap if you if your team got slaughtered, and I did that one time where I just came back late and I was like, oh crap, they already started, and I just saw them killing my last teammate, and then I wiped the whole rest of their team, and then I talked so much crap after we got that round ended. But it's just those were the days, because now no one does that anymore. Everybody's already in their party chat. There is no
lobbies,
camaraderie like that.
Group lobby chat is a thing of the past.
Unfortunately.
Yeah.
There's a time where like Gears 1, there's the map Fuel Depot. There's like the one Hammer of Dawn in the middle. You pick it up, you wipe out the entire team, and then all 4 of the team members' headsets just go off at the same time after the round is over. And you can't even understand any of it because they're all talking at the same time. They're all upset.
That was the other thing, because now people could just be in the party. Oh, he's right there. Once your teammate died, it would be no talk. You couldn't hear him. He was gone. So he couldn't give you any pointers of like, oh, he just killed you. Where's he at? He can't tell you. He's dead. So you really feel alone. But now these days, everybody's in a party chat, so I can just tell you, oh, yeah, he's right there, right behind you.
Those sweaty days, those matches with the, just like shotgunning each other, jumping back and forth, shotgun, one shot. Oh man, insane. You love it and hate it at the same time. But I need to get Centurion in here, buddy. I mean, obviously we're talking Gears of War here, possibility of Gears of War collection. I don't know. What do you think's the likelihood that these leaks turn out to be true? I mean, they do seem to be pretty reliable, judging from the sources. But could you see a Gears of War collection popping up very soon?
Definitely. Now, I mean, we've heard the rumors long enough. The games definitely deserve the treatment. They also could use some updating. I like how Crusader mentioned the Xbox 360 servers. I'm pretty sure the Gears of War franchise as a whole could use a little bit of an update, especially on the tech side. And it would be great to see also some new energy kind of infused into the older games. I mean, that was my bread and butter on an original Xbox, was playing Gears of War. I enjoy playing it. I will be absolutely honest, I never played Gears 3, so it'd be great to actually experience that game. I have it in my back catalog, but if they came out with this collection, I'd end up getting it because I know it'd come out with all the DLC and all the other stuff. The multiplayer thing, definitely have some fond memories of doing that. Definitely standing on opposite ends of the multiplayer area and shooting at each other, hiding behind barricades. I think it's funny everybody mentions the whole talking crap thing that took place in the lobbies as something that we all miss, but it's also the very reason why we stopped using those lobbies, was because of just some of the things that would be said, and it would just make you not want to play the game anymore. So yeah, everybody's muted a lot of those lobbies, and they're now using the party chat system because they don't want anybody to take them out of that mindset of just wanting to enjoy the game. Because anymore now with gaming, apparently if you get a really good score in gaming, apparently out of that slot on your Xbox or something, $100 bill or something pops out. It hasn't happened for me, but apparently there's a reason to take it this uber aggressively. But
Well,
on to
oh no, just to point out, I mean, it's more like war stories, vets were calling war stories, like, oh, remember the days when, with the trash talking.
Oh, dude, I totally remember. One of my first ones was a guy named Pitbull, something or other, and he's all like, "Meet me in a custom match on Halo," and we all went to the custom match, and he never showed up. So there was stories like that where everybody was cool. But if you want me to be truthful, one of my fondest Halo memories, call me a hopeless romantic, was the guy that proposed to his wife using the Forge, and he actually put "marry me" in all the weapons on the ground. And when she came over and saw that, that made the news. That was cool.
I do remember that. Yeah, that was a nice take on Forge, and kind of a sweet idea too.
But definitely I would like to see some of that magic that Xbox 343, all the developers involved, that put towards the Master Chief Collection in creating the Halo Anniversary Edition, remastering the second game, putting that whole package together with the Halo Master Chief Collection. Yeah, they fumbled the ball on that launch, and it took years and years of post-launch patching to fix a lot of the problems of that game, which is where I really hope Microsoft learned from that experience. And at the very least, if the coalition's doing the remaster, whoever's doing the remaster, I hope at least a memo was put on the table recapping how that whole experience went down, and to please not repeat it.
Well, yeah, I mean, I would hope after it took a while for 343 and a few other studios to make improvements to the Master Chief Collection. It was a long slog, but they did really well. They did really well.
This is where I try to show people I'm critical of everybody. I would have to probably say the Halo Master Chief Collection was probably the most extensive group of patching I've seen in a lot of games. I can't think of another game that required numerous patches over the course of a number of years to get the game to work correctly. The only game that really comes close to that, at least in my mind, was Rainbow Six Siege with Operation Health.
Oh, really? I didn't realize that.
Well, that was the whole concept of Operation Health with Rainbow Six Siege. Was they knew the game had problems, they knew there was broken hitboxes and other broken mechanics of the game, so they created a whole season called Operation Health, where there would be game mechanic twists and stuff like that because they were trying to fix the problems.
Oh, I mean, I knew it was a popular title. I had all kinds of friends that played it. I just never got into it, so I didn't realize that that was going on, to be honest. So,
Oh, dude, Rainbow Six Siege has some doozies. The character Ash goes by the nickname of Broken Hitbox because her head, at least for a time, her hitbox on her head didn't work right, so you could headshot her and it wouldn't take her down in one shot.
oh wow, yeah, I would say that'd be a big issue. Hmm. And they patched that, right?
It's questionable. There's some people that still say that her hitbox is a little wonky still.
Okay, good to know. Oh, maybe I'll avoid Rainbow Six Siege. um. Oh, I mean, we got to play some other games though, Centurion. I mean,
Oh, definitely. I got to help you roll the credits on Strange Brigade.
Yeah, you do. You do. Which, by the way, I mean, I'm really itching to play it. So, you know what? Sometime later, actually next week, we can get into it.
Yeah, hit me up, man.
I will.
Gotta take out that nefarious necromancy.
You and Gingerbeard. Yeah, playing with that guy's fun. But, yeah, guys, anything else to add before we sign off? No? All right, I'll take that as a no. But, okay, I think now's a good time to start wrapping up tonight's show. Again, excellent stuff tonight from the panel. Some really good points across the board from MLD to Crusader, Eric, Centurion, and so on. Guys, great stuff tonight. Also, great chat. Love the energy from everybody in the chat tonight. Thanks to everyone that tuned in live. And if you enjoyed our banter tonight, then consider leaving a like, subbing to the channel, and be sure to share it out across social media, whatever you like, Twitter, whatever it may be. Just, hey, share it out there. But now let's get to some of these outros, and I will start with General MLD. Buddy, you had some really solid points tonight, and hey, just a fun show overall, I think. Where can everybody find you at?
Thank you. Had a great time tonight. You guys can find me at MLD Ghost on Twitter, gamertag Ghost MLD. Looking forward to Sniper Elite 5 next week on Game Pass. Yeah, I'll be sure to give my first impressions next week here on the show. Looking forward to it.
Yeah, that's right. I totally forgot about that game. Oh, I got to get in on that. Sniper Elite 4 was the bomb. I really love that. Oh, damn. That's going to eat up a lot of time for me. Let's see. Down the list, Centurion, buddy. Hey, you had a really good show as well. Where can all these fine people follow you at?
For those interested in following me, I don't care if you like me or just want to yell at me. You can find me at Centurion1307 on YouTube, Xbox Live, and Twitter. You can also find me right here every Sunday night with this amazing group of gentlemen right here on the TXR Podcast. And you can also join me every Wednesday night with all the craziness, excitement, and comedy that takes place with Wilmy Hood on Gaming Beyond the Box. God, I'm bad with East Coast time. It was 8 p.m. Eastern on Wednesdays.
Yeah, you heard the man. Follow him. Definitely. Everybody needs to check out the Centurion. Now, moving on down the list here, Eric Shockley, buddy. Really good stuff tonight, as per usual. Where can the TXR faithful find you?
Yeah, as always, you can find me at ShockNero on Twitter, Easy Shock on Xbox Live. But yeah, I'm hoping to get some, now that I got my capture card going and got some of my setup going, get some, at least, because I was like, man, I hate playing all these old games, but I can't upload my footage, at least to like Twitter, to show off like cool stuff like I can when I'm on my PS5. But I think I got it figured out, so hopefully be uploading some old PS2 content and high quality. So, but yeah, good show tonight, and thanks for coming by.
Nice, buddy. Looking forward to that content you plan on uploading. I'll be curious to check it out. Let's see. And Crusader, buddy, loved your input tonight as per usual. You have loads to think on a wide variety of gaming topics. Appreciate your intelligence on the matters. And where can everybody follow you at?
Sure, everyone can follow me at Crusader3456 on Twitter, where next week you'll hear me talk about basically nothing but Destiny, unless there's really big news. And you can follow me on Reddit, where I am very active on r/gaming leaks and rumors. We're gonna have a mega thread up for the Xbox event, summarizing all past rumors, and I'm gonna have my thoughts, and I think the other mods are gonna have their thoughts on what we could see as well. So expect that the week before the showcase.
All right, yeah, and I look forward to reading through that, because you guys do such a good deep dive on things that, you know, I could collect my own info, but you guys just have everything condensed into such nicely made threads that it's just so convenient. So
Yep.
good stuff. Looking forward to that. And oh yeah, I guess I gotta go to myself. And to round out this awesome ensemble of characters, you can find my content on YouTube at Invader Gaming. I'm also reachable on Twitter at Invader_1986. Good chat tonight, and we all look forward to seeing you here on the next one. Later, everyone. It's been great.